spoke about how God opens doors. The Apostle Paul seemed to live his life from door to door. For example, in Acts 14 and 27, he speaks of a door of faith that God had opened to the Gentiles. To the church at Colossae, he asked them to pray for him that God would open a door. But I'm captured here in 2 Corinthians chapter 2 in verse 12, and he says, "When I came to Troas for the gospel of Christ, a door was opened for me in the Lord, and I had no rest in my spirit." And he said, I went on to Macedonia. And I've been thinking about that incident that happened in the life of the Apostle Paul. It was in Acts chapter 16 when Paul had a desire to go to Asia. That was his intention. That was his desire. But it says the Holy Spirit did not permit him. In fact, it said the Spirit forbade him to preach the word in Asia. So he thought, well, if I can't go to Asia, I'll go to Bithynia. But it says there, amazingly, the Spirit of Jesus suffered him not. So finally, not being able to go to Asia, not going to Bithynia, he goes down to Troas and he falls asleep. And it's about the fourth period of REM sleep that he sees a vision. A man from Macedonia that says, "Come over to us and help us." And it was then that Paul realized God was opening a door to Macedonia. Little did Paul know what was behind that door. Behind that door was the city of Philippi, the greatest city in all of Macedonia. Behind that door was a slave girl who was demonized with an evil spirit that enabled her to tell fortunes. Behind that door was a Philippian jailer that needed to be saved. Behind that door was Lydia, a seller of purple, that God wanted to open her heart. Behind that door was a church plant in Thessalonica. Behind that door was a time to speak at the Areopagus there on Mars Hill. Behind that door was a church plant in Corinth. Behind that door was a church plant in Ephesus. And from behind that door and from that church plant in Ephesus, then all of Asia would hear the word of the Lord. And my question to you is, what if Paul had said, no? What if Paul had refused to heed the Holy Spirit? What if he had just decided, I'm going to go to Bithynia or bust? What if he would have just chosen to create his own door? Lydia may have never heard the gospel. Philippi may have never had a church plant. The demonized girl who needed deliverance may have lived the rest of her life in slavery and in bondage. There would be no need to think about Paul and Silas singing at midnight in the Philippian jail. Would have never happened. The jailer and his whole family may have never been saved. No church plant in Corinth, no church plant in Thessalonica, no opportunity to speak at Mars Hill, and maybe not even a church plant in Ephesus. And if that happened, forget about the book of Revelation. There would have not been 7 churches to write to, because all of that happened in sequential order when Paul followed God's door. Anyone can count how many seeds are in an apple, but only God knows how many apples are in a seed. And behind the door that God has for you, there are amazing surprises. Do not settle for anything less. Go with God. He has the door for you.